We live, we motherfucking live. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Back again for another one tonight. Little small something. A little small something. I just decided to come back. Let me make sure all my shit is straight. Yeah, okay. All right. I think I'm good. Okay. As you can see,
Hello, subscribers. It's David Hopp.
whoops, sorry. As you can see in the title, Black Americans had to fight, not vote for our rights. You got to think about it. There was no vote on the ballot that I can recall that was told to us that said, would you all like to free the black people in America? Would you like to abolish slavery? Yes or no? They voted in mass and it was gone. I don't think that that was taught to us in history. Yet, whenever we want change to happen here currently, we want some type of policies written, tangibles or something for black Americans, we're told we have to go through these enormous democratic-like processes that lead somewhere to some type of legislative body to get us to finally do what we're looking for them to do, whatever. And that's not the case. It seems like when we look at the videos and shit back in the day that we've always had to fight for the shit. We've always had to hit the streets. We've always had to protest. We've always had to boycott. We've always had to be advocates. It's never just, you know what? White America notices there's an atrocity going on over there, and they decided to go ahead and abolish something, take a vote on something to abolish something against black people, and poof, it was gone. Now, they'll try to sit here all day and be like, our people fought in the Civil War and died for you all and this and that. Man, fuck that shit. You know what I'm saying? If you was in the Civil War, you was either drafted or you was in there for another reason. You wasn't in there for black folk. And we ain't even got to go into the details in the history, regardless of the case. This, you know what, I've been going through the archive of one David Hoffman, and I need to start giving more credit whenever I'm doing some of the things that I'm doing to some of the reactions I'm doing to his videos. I guess I'm doing reactions. But this video in particular that I looked at talks about the riots in Detroit in 1967. And when they're talking about it and I'm looking at it, and yeah, I look at the parallels of today's time and how we're still doing some of the same things to get what we want. And it's not that they try to look at it at us as if that is a problem with us. It's like as if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that leads to insanity. That's the definition of insanity. And let's look at that up. Definition of insanity. People have always said, and I used to always say this, let me go ahead and put it over here. People always say this, and they be like, the state of it, I mean, the being insane, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. No, nigga, that's not the definition of insanity. How about you look it up in the goddamn dictionary? The state of being seriously mentally ill, madness, extreme foolishness, or irrationality. It might be pure insanity to take this loan. You know, it might be pure insanity to take many loans over time. You can continue to look at it, whatever, but like, it's not that black people doing the same thing over and over again for multiple years is insanity. It's us going to certain means when necessary in order to get change to happen for us that we've seen work without going all the way to the turn up of the century. You know what I mean? So what do I mean by that? Protesting and riots and whatever you want to call them. They're the next level before the super turn up. And you're like, what's the super turn up? Because a riot or a protest is a turn up. The next turn up would be all of us thinking that we're in grave danger and it's an existential threat and we all have to take measures directly. And that's a whole nother scenario altogether. But sorry, I just got back from having a couple drinks. I don't give a damn. But regardless of the slur of my speech, these are the things that I think about whenever I read and watch some of these videos. So I'm looking at these riots back then, and earlier I did a live stream. Let me stop there. Earlier I did a live stream, and I had talked about in New Jersey or Philadelphia or one of them areas, there was an intersection where a lot of people were getting killed because there wasn't a stoplight or a stop sign there. So the black people kept telling people, look, you know, we need a stoplight right here, man. People getting killed out here now. It's that serious. Cars were just a thing kind of coming up. So, you know, they needed something to protect them, and they were getting bullshitted. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was paying attention to them, whatever. And then eventually they hit the goddamn streets. They organized, they hit the streets. They said, look, we're just going to sit here and we'll be the stoplight. Niggas sat there in front of the traffic lights and did their thing. I was about to say, I probably can pull it up, but I may not have it right here on the ready, to be honest with you. I think I was just playing it from the file. But regardless, then the city governor came in and all the, you know, mayor, whoever in the city, and try to say that they were going to promise them a street light. And then they go back and, you know, they're saying, well, you really got to do this and that. And the process is this, that, and the third. And they never really did get that street light. They got a stop sign. But, you know, I'm pretty sure now they have a street light. But, you know, it's one of those things where they tell us we have to do all these processes to get what we want. It has to be all these by the book things, and the reason why we don't do it is because we don't organize. And that's a bunch of bullshit, because I got a lot of videos in here that I've been looking through David Hoffman that show us organizing. It shows people in the 60s, 70s, 50s getting together because they're in poverty, having issues, and they're talking about what the problem is and what they need to do and what we need to do from here. You know, we should get together, we should organize, we should try to take this back, whatever the case may be. So, you know, it wasn't like black people were just sitting around in mass waiting for a handout. You know, we want change to happen, and we'll get out there and we'll fight for it. And voting obviously doesn't work because people were voting. Nothing was happening. And even then, even if they went through the whole processes of trying to vote for it, then it still got to be approved to the white folks that were in government. So, you know, it's one of these things. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, and you're going to have to make some kind of way. So I ain't got but 10% left on this. Let me get to what I was getting to really quick.
Once upon a time, there wasn't no machinery. And Negroes went into these lands, into these, say, woods and bayous, and they cleared away all these places. And in so many years, they worked for nothing, simply nothing. And the rich man, white man, he gotten rich. So I figure the black man should have a chance to make a decent living.
Throughout the Delta this year,
I brought that one up real quick because I wanted to go into the idea of the fact that that's not with the riots thing, but it shows even in the 50s, 60s, black people picking cotton. Now they may not have been slaves, but they was still picking cotton, and that just means that they was on the low economic rung of the ladder, low rung of the economic ladder, and so it's one of those things where I looked at that and also paid attention to the words that she said. I'm sorry, you all. Paid attention to the words that she said about it was black people on this land, and we had to clear the woods and the brush and all of these things through the bayous and things of that nature because that was us. We built America. When people say, what did y'all build? Well, first of all, when you come to this land, and it was the Indians here who were black, you had to first colonize it, do all that stuff, kill a bunch of people without getting into all of that. And those were black people. But even after that, you needed black people, whether they were slaves or not slaves, free black people working to try to help, but you needed them to clear the woods and the bayous. Go through there, cut down these trees, go through there, make an area where you can even farm and cultivate land to farm on. Because when y'all came over, you didn't know how to do it and you didn't want to do it. So that was just one thing that I pulled from the clip, from a clip. Let's look at the actual clip that I'm actually talking about.
Visible man. And
Hello, subscribers. It's David Hoffman, filmmaker, on a pretty dark day here in California, as you can see. So look, I'm looking at these demonstrations, these sometimes violent demonstrations, these riots, and I'm thinking back to 1967, 1968, where I was a young filmmaker, and I was filming all kinds of incident in what was called the Long Hot Summer. And an incident, a single incident, touched off the Detroit riots. I was doing some filming 2 weeks later. It looked like you were in a bombed out city. Lyndon Johnson had to do something. Governor Romney had to do something, the father of Mitt Romney. He was a Republican governor at the time. He says to Lyndon Johnson, call in the National Guard, we need help.
Governor Romney declares a state of emergency, requests federal troops and 5,000 paratroopers reinforce the National Guard. A besieged city of
Help.
Governor Romney declares a state of emergency, requests federal troops and 5,000 paratroopers reinforce the National Guard.
Boy, they called in federal troops. He didn't have a number on that one. Plus 5,000 other paratroopers or whatever the hell he said. They needed over 5,000 plus motherfuckers to come contain what niggas was doing in Detroit. I need to go look even further into the Detroit riots. It's one of the things I didn't look into. I'm from Oklahoma, so I looked a lot into the history of Oklahoma, the Tulsa riots. I know everything about that. And I think it's important, and what likely is gonna happen is that in each state, you're gonna have the black people who know a lot more about that state, as they should, than around other states in the United States. But 5,000, they didn't just call in like, hey man, bring it like 20, 30 of the troops out here, man. Get them on the ready, nigga. They called in battalions. They called in battalions, nigga, to take care of us, nigga. You couldn't just colonize us. We've been fighting for many centuries, and I'm talking about that right now because we're in this voting season, and people are trying to get you to vote for Kamala and pander. But as we see, man, like, not as we see, I haven't showed a whole lot of shit today, but, you know, we've seen that we've had to hit the streets for change. most people don't have to hit the streets for change. Yeah, you can say, well, the Palestinians are out there right now and they're, blah, blah, blah. Understandably so. Some people do hit the streets for change too. But we've been hitting the streets for change for quite some time. And we will turn the fuck up like we did during many different times. I was out there during the George Floyd riots. I'm in Dallas. I was in Dallas during the George Floyd riots. And it was definitely something. But let's keep watching.
A besieged city of guerrilla warfare.
At 10:56 this morning, I received a wire from Governor Romney officially requesting that federal troops be dispatched to Michigan. Law enforcement is a local matter. It is the responsibility of local officials and the governors of the respective states. The federal government should not intervene except in the most extraordinary circumstances. The fact of the matter, however, is that law and order have broken down in Detroit, Michigan. Pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights. They are criminal conduct. And the federal government, in the circumstances here presented, had no alternative but to respond.
So, I mean, the main thing I wanted y'all to get from that, man, is we will turn the fuck up. So much so that you need the National Guard. And even, I wonder if I can find that video. I might have the video. Let me look while I say this. But even today's time, I mean, they've kind of pretty much militarized the police. So the police now have military capabilities to control people in a sense. But it's like you have to basically become the military on the ground to keep us in check. Understandably so, because we're not just here to lay down and let things happen to us. There's only so far you can push people. I'm trying to look for the particular footage. There's only so far you can push people before people break. Now, some people will let you damn near push them super far, and I think this is where they may feel like they have the ability or the whatever to do it, is because they, and when I say they, I'm talking about white folks, white supremacy. They've gone around the world and they've basically pushed every culture there is to the edge to see how far they can get them, to see how far they would take it. And some people just give up en masse. Some people don't, well, I should say some people don't respond back en masse as they should. Even today, we know and we see, I can't find a video I'm fucking looking for that's on my Facebook. And it was me in the George Floyd riots long ago, and I just wanted to show what was outside my window. It was militarized police pulling up in tank-like vehicles on just normal, everyday little people out there just talking their shit about how they felt about what we're on with the George Floyd thing, man. And so I can't find it, but it's just one of those things where they know that if they were to test us and try to push us to the edge, it would set us all off. You can't just go through and just kill black people, start a civil war like they be trying to say, or a race war, an overt race war, I should say. There's still a race war going on, but you try to start it. You can't just come and start an overt race war. Whenever we see a couple people or one person get killed in the wrong kind of way, on the news, on social media, on whatever, niggas in America turn the fuck up, and they know it. And so you can think about, it's 55 million of us. If they could somehow even kill 1,000 of us randomly, 50 something million motherfucking black people would turn, except for the immigrants. 45 something million black folks would turn the fuck up in this bitch. Guaranteed. It would activate us, because we don't want to sit back and just watch that kind of shit happen. Nobody does today, people. But we also don't do the type of shit that other people do to other people's people. You haven't seen black Americans start any kind of wars, do any kind of genocide, do any kind of major criminal activity besides some petty shit, little gang shit. You don't really see that. And time has shown, and the more time that passes, along with the recording of things through devices that we all have access to now, it's going to show and prove over time that lies will no longer be accepted. We can look back through time, see what happened. You can only lie so much, and they've done it really well. But when we go back now as people who have been around since technology has gotten to where it's at, and we use this technology to now dive deep into subjects that our forefathers and our grandparents and them couldn't even fathom to go into. There wasn't even a library big enough for the amount of information that we have access to. We're able to actually go in and see and find where people have been fucking up, where people have been literally changing things, where people have been lying to us, and where we've had wins and where they've had losses, and what the real history and information is. They've done a good job of being deceitful. White supremacy, that is. But we do a better job of sticking to the code of being honest, moral, ethical people. That's why I love my people. That's why I love being black. I love being Indian. I love being indigenous to the North American land. It's your boy, Chef Bay.